5 minutes early. No one's here yet. Hey, Marcy, how are you? I hope you're doing well. It doesn't even register that you're here. That's crazy. Oh, now it does. How's your weekend? I hope well. There she is. Hi, Simone. What's up, Arthur? Amanda, how are you, dear? Pimper. I hope everyone's weekend was good. Troy, how are you? Jess B, how are you? Jesse, good. How are you? Brian Mons, how are you, brother? Mons, I got an experience. I dug and dug and dug, and I found a Pukwudgie experience. Troy, how are you, my friend? Kay, there she is. Janie, Wesley September, Nicholas Carroll, how are you, my brother? Aramik, how are you tonight, my friend? Harry, how are you? Hey, how are you? Rhonda Wolf, nice seeing you. Kathy, Monkey. So glad everyone is here with us. All is well. All is weal. All is weal. Gavin, how are you, buddy? Got some pretty cool Lizzo stories tonight. Got some pretty decent experiences. I never had a mustache. I had a beard. But yeah. Yes, I did. Detroit is in the house. Red Dark Side, how are you? Rachel, good. How are you? SDL, there you are. How are you, my friend? Still early. We'll wait until like midnight to start with some experiences. Mr. Poor, how are you? DB Mac, you were missed last week. I did the was it last week? Yeah, I think it was last week when I did the $20 is $20 and couldn't find you. Mammy, how are you? Richard Minnick, how are you, buddy? Tell me to behave. That's up to you, Mr. Poor. Richard, thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Starting the night off. Wow. Awesome. There's Damage. How are you? Nanfer. I don't blow it when people tell me to. I do it on my own, but I will tonight. Peach pie and mace. The shofar. That's what it's called, Richard. The horn. Nick Hendricks, how are you, buddy? Used in the Battle of Jericho. No, it did not. It did not. Never came out. Stacy Lockett, how are you, dear? Good seeing you, Delirium. How are you, brother? Both are doing well, Janie. Both are doing well. Thank you for asking. Actually, Tigger is just something else lately. He's I can't even explain what he has become as of late. He's a terrorist. Mr. Haunted. What's up, Tyler? How are you, buddy? I was hoping he was going to come in. He was in here earlier, but I don't know. No, it starts early every week. It doesn't start at midnight. It usually starts like 5 minutes before. Shalom. Yeah, Tigger's definitely going through something, Aramek. He terrorizes my daughter's boyfriend. My daughter's boyfriend. I don't think we are getting that storm, Janie. I don't think we are. It was weird because this morning they had the trucks were out cleaning up everything, and it was really loud. But I don't think we are going to get hit with it. It's supposed to be like 30 on Tuesday, so I'm probably going to go. I was thinking about throwing the snowshoes on and going up to where Tom Mezek disappeared with the snowshoes just to see, because I've never been there in the deep winter. So I'm gonna see what we can do. What's up, Glenn? How are you? Mega. I am staying warm. It was so cold the last couple of nights. It was like minus 16 last night, I think. Just awful cold. All right. I guess we'll start the night. I've got a bunch of experiences. They're in no certain order, and I don't have ones for like requests, so I'm just gonna go through what I've got and we'll take it as we give it. Bella's doing good. Bella's feeling great. She's always feeling good. Even when she was sick, she was like, I don't know. She's something fierce. Something fierce. How about the freaking James Casbolt coming on the show soon? Pretty awesome. It was so hard to get in touch with him. Like, he's a very private person and just does not respond. Like, I don't know why or how he responded to me. But when he did, I was so ecstatic, you know. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy, there was people like, I've never heard of this guy. And I'm like, what do you mean you've never heard of him? Like, what the hell is that all about? I thought he was dead. I'm like, James Rink died. Like, I don't know. People are weird. All right. So let's start this night off. Southern Charmer, how are you? Karen, how are you? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. And no, I try to say hi to everyone. Ryu, how are you? Let me just give a quick scan. Let me make sure. Sean McCabe, how are you? I like to say hi to everybody and make sure everybody knows that I said hi to them, you know? Stacy Lockett, Wesley, I did say hi to you guys. 5 rings. What's up, Snowman Dave? Charlotte Myers, how are you? People are so weird. So weird. I thought he was dead. And then one guy goes, he doesn't sound like a super soldier. I'm like, what are super soldiers supposed to sound like? The ones that are like grifters on, like, that aren't fucking super soldiers, that just, like, you know, the guy is legit. Oh, he's got the book that he wrote, Buried Alive, he's got a sequel to it, Escape from TARDIS. And there's only going to be like 1,000 of them printed. So The link was in the description of the video and I was surprised he did that 6-minute video for me. Like, I had never heard his Dogman experience. This is just fucking unreal. Like, you're in San Bernardino. The way he told it was so cool too. Like, quiet, driving down the road in a truck. The city goes dead quiet, and there's this dude with long hair walking two beasts that he thought were bear at first, and then he lets them go and they chase the truck. So cool. A friend decided to go on a hike at around 10 p.m. So we went off into the foothills of the Rockies. We're hiking on a fairly well-maintained and trafficked area, but due to the time, no one else was there. But I had seen movement out of the corner of my eye a couple times, nothing that I could pin down, since by the time I would turn my head to look, not even a leaf was moving. I started to get more and more uncomfortable and filled with dread as we kept going and screwing around at various points. So at around midnight, we start heading back to the trailhead. We're on our way back, and small sightings of movements pick up. And that's when I realized why I was feeling so uneasy. There was absolutely no sound from the trees around us, not a rustling of small animals or sounds of any nocturnal creatures. That realization made me even more uncomfortable, plus the fact that my friend, who does this stuff more regularly than me, believes in the paranormal, was looking a bit rigid and stressed. When we were about 30 minutes from the trailhead, we started to hear something off to our right in the woods. Not a rustle, chirp, growl, or any natural noise, but the chime of what sounded like a small bell. We both stopped dead, looked in that direction for a second, and kept walking. As we walked, every couple of steps, we would hear that same chime. When we would stop, it would stop. It was keeping perfect pace with us. I could tell by looking at my friend that we just needed to get back to the car. I'm not necessarily a huge believer in the paranormal, but I don't like to tempt fate. So we both stayed silent and did not mention the sounds or anything until we started getting closer to the car. And he decided to start a lighthearted conversation about celebrity crushes. He later told me that he was trying to put out a positive energy to dispel whatever was out there. We eventually got back to the car and drove back to campus, but we didn't discuss anything till we were at the safety of our dorm building, and apparently we both experienced the exact same thing, as in the small movements in our peripheral and the bell chiming. He also claimed he had heard breathing, which was weird considering I did not, but his hearing may be better than mine. That is my experience. Thank you for allowing me to share. Sonia, how are you? What's up, Smitty? How are you, buddy? Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. You know, I have to agree. Thank you, Jimmy. Love you, brother. I have to agree with you, monkey crap, on that. I for a long time, I didn't buy into the chemtrails, but I do now. And like, I always knew they were doing something weird, but I didn't think it was like they were poisoning us. I always thought they were seeding the clouds for like storms and stuff. But then thinking about it more, looking into it more, I was like, you know what? I think that even if they are seeding it, that poison is going to get into us as well. Hollow Days in, how are you? Dave Ward, William, how are you, my friend? James Rink is deployed. You mean dispensed? Silver dioxide. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't buy into it. I was like, yeah, because there's just there's so much conspiracy. And I believe in a lot of things, but I was like, I got to put I got to draw a line in the sand, like a hard line. And then the more and more I looked into it and thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Even if they are just polluting or seeding the clouds for storms or whatnot, even if they're doing it for a legitimate cause, like to make rain for farmers and shit like that, that's still going to poison the people. So, what's up, Marcus? I think I saw an alien once during the 1988 through 89 school year, third grade for me. Actually, in my school, I had never seen any depictions of gray at that point. I was at school for an after school art class in the cafeteria at Julius Marks Elementary School. Left the cafeteria to go to the restroom. I turned the corner to get to the bathroom and felt like someone was watching me. So I turned and looked. Standing in the doorway of the class next door to mine, silhouetted against the light, was someone not human shaped. They were no more than 4 feet tall, very skinny, with disproportionately large egg shaped head. And they had long, thin arms and legs for their size, like a child, but not proportionate like a human. I was a brave kid, especially when I was on my own and didn't have to look out for someone else. I did not scare easy, but the whole thing just felt so wrong, so freaking alien. I was terrified. I dashed into the bathroom. I must have used the facilities because I was never one to wet myself and did not need to go anymore. I don't remember anything about when I was in the bathroom. I don't know how I got back to the cafeteria. Shit, I can't even remember. Although I remember being very afraid and peeking out. Nothing was there. I ran back to the cafeteria and told everyone what I had experienced. That's when I learned about aliens and what they were supposed to look like. One of the other kids drew a picture. Kind of freaked out that I can remember everything clearly except for what happened between running for the bathroom and running through the cafeteria door, other than a quick glance to see if it was still there. I didn't get the impression that I was gone very long, like not even as long as I must have been gone, at least a full 10 minutes. On a few occasions, I have shared this experience over the years. I have only gotten two reactions: total disbelief and assurance that I was just imagining something I had seen on TV or read about, or total belief and assurance that I was abducted that day, and they erased my memory of it. All I can say is that I know for sure that I had never been exposed to any images of gray up until that day. Until that moment, I thought of aliens as being fairly cartoonish in appearance and green. Remember that I was only about 8 at the time, and it was 1980s, just before the image of grays became commonplace in US culture. Also, although I can't remember a lot now, I'm fairly certain I could remember more until the past 10 years or so, because I had a good sense of how much time had passed for one. That's enough for me to be fairly certain that I am not missing time and never was in regards to this incident. Also, I never had another encounter. Have never had further signs of possible abductions and had never seen a UFO. Anywho, that's my alien experience. Thank you. I said that in an upload SDL. I believe they are demonic little fucking gremlins. I don't think aliens are aliens. I don't think aliens are what people perceive them to be. Like my whole belief is they are demonic creatures. And I was talking to someone the other day, and I was like, you know, to me it makes a heck of a lot more sense that these things are demons. And it just, if you really think about the whole like ancient world, like the Egyptians, the Romans, and everything else, it would make more sense that they were demons. And when coming out of these portals and using these kind of vessels to travel, there's so much petroglyphs and hieroglyphs, not petroglyphs, hieroglyphs and renditions of these things. China, Japan, Egypt, it just gets more and more. Andy Davis, what's up, brother? How are you, buddy? Good seeing you. AG, how are you? Roughly 3 years ago, so I'll start this off with my younger sister's part of the experience. She was around 12 or 13 at the time and very into skinwalker type stories and stuff like that. We had a tree with a tire swing in our backyard. And I already read this one. I'm not going to reread it. I can't reread it. People will get mad at me if I do. I'll save it for later if we run out of something. I don't know how that stayed in that pile. Apologize. This takes place in my hometown of Vernon, New Jersey, 2009. The town is near the northern tip of New Jersey in the Appalachian Mountains, borders New York State. I was 17 at the time at a party at a friend's. The town is very large, divided up into different communities, mostly lake-based. But the one my friend's house was in was called Old Orchard. It was more development like than your typical neighborhood, but was up a steep hill with a lot of woods around it. It was a summer evening, so we spent our time outside in their backyard. Some people were drinking, but myself and the other witness were not. The backyard had a thin tree line dividing it from a lot behind us. With a lot of leaves on the trees, it was thick enough to block your view from the yard. Well, after dark, I went through the tree line and into the next lot with somebody. We walked a few steps through the trees, and they sat with their back to the tree line facing the lot, which was a large upward sloping hill with a single tree in the center, with maybe 100 yards from us. The lot was bordered on the right by a road with a street light that partially illuminated the area, and to the left, there were similar tree lines bordering the properties. After sitting and talking for a while, we both fell quiet when we heard something. It was just for a moment, but it sounded like sniffing, like the sound of a dog makes with its nose to the ground searching for something. I was facing the tree line bordering my friend's backyard. I could clearly hear everyone in the yard carrying on only feet away. The sniffing sound did not continue. I glanced around behind me in the lot, saw nothing, and we continued talking. Preface the rest of the story, I want to note that northern New Jersey has a large black bear population. And in my hometown, it is very common to see them in your yard crossing the road or even have them break into your home searching for food. Combine that with being someone who'd spent a lot of time outside and in the woods, I know what a bear looks like and how it moves and sounds. And I know what other large predators are in the area. And what I saw was none of these. So some time passes long enough to forget about the phantom sniffing, and then I hear it again. And the other person does as well. It's the same nose to the ground sniffing out prey type of sound, and it was loud and seemingly coming from all around us. We can still hear the party going on, and as loud as the sniffing is, they don't seem to notice it. I look at the person I am with, and they are frozen with their eyes locked onto something ahead of them. I turn and face into the lot as the sniffing continues, and under a tree, I see a large, dark silhouette of something. It was shaped like a bear, but larger, standing 6 foot on all fours. Its head was down to the ground, and it was sniffing under the tree, but it still makes no sense that we would be able to hear it from all the way there to where we were, let alone how loud the party was. Then it moves forward, and that's when I am certain it is not an animal I am familiar with, because it puts its two front legs out first and forward in one motion like a rabbit or a kangaroo. I didn't watch for very long, but enough to see that it kept shuffling forward like that for a few more times. The whole time its head was to the ground, sniffing as loud as it was breathing in our ears. Again, it was only bright enough to see the silhouette, but it appeared to have fur. I had a strong feeling that it could feel me looking at it, and if I kept watching it, it would notice me, and I did not want that to happen. The person and I locked eyes, grabbed each other's hand, and bolted into the backyard. No one else noticed. Most were too drunk to even know we had been gone. It was late, and I convinced some of the people to go inside to the living room to sleep. Other people stayed out in the yard in their tents, but no one mentioned anything weird the next morning. We didn't tell anyone what had happened during the party, and the reason the other witness is someone and not my friend is because they were really just an acquaintance I met and I was trying to hook up with. I never saw them again. I don't even know their last name. Were I to want to contact them and ask them about it. And we didn't speak of it with each other while at the party either. Northern New Jersey is supposed to have a Bigfoot type creature called Big Red Eye, and of course the Jersey Devil, but I don't think any of that fits. Thank you for allowing me to share this. I believe what we saw was a dogman. Yeah, Big Red Eye does not fit the description of it. People, I don't even think it's a Bigfoot. I think it's like phantom eyes. Anybody from New Jersey knows there's this magazine called Weird New Jersey. And it used to be like this big thing in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it would literally talk about stories, cryptid paranormal stories in New Jersey. How are you? Sonny, there you are. How are you? Could be a red-eyed demon, more than likely, Aramic. Usually seen through people's windows, like mimicking and mocking people. Very interesting. Interesting kind of. I don't even have a name for it. It's not a cryptid, just a phenomena, I guess, would be the best thing. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Sonny. I am doing well. Thunder Blue, what's up? How are you, my friend? All right, it's been 30 minutes into the live. Is it time? All I need is like 3 yeses. 3 yeses for yes, it's time for, and I'll give you the pick. Haha, there's Sean McCabe, Hollow Dazen. Oh, there it is. Okay. Tigger as well, Karen. Tigger as well. All right. So I'll give you, you know what? I'm going to just do this one. Here we go. It was the kind of sticky July dusk when the air smelled like diesel, bad decisions, and deep fried everything. Somewhere between Oklahoma and oblivion, the Crossroads truck stop shimmered under the neon, a beacon for tired men, restless souls, and the unsanctioned asphalt jungle battles. At the rear of the gravel lot, nestled between a rusted water tank and a condemned porta potty that had not been flushed out since Clinton's first term, stood Lizzo's Royal Court, a beat up 1987 Airstream camper painted in psychedelic flames and bedazzled with rhinestones that caught the sunset like a disco ball on probation. Lizzo herself reclined in a lawn chair that had long since given up structural integrity, her lavender silk kimono clinched at the waist with a belt made of a trucker's mud flap that read, "Kiss me, kiss me, I'm tax deductible." At her feet lay Earl, her boy toy, a mountain of a man with biceps like overfilled sausage casings, a ZZ Top beard, and a CB handle of hot lick. He was snoring softly, one hand still clenching a lukewarm PBR, and the other gently resting on Lizzo's sandaled foot like a bizarre ritual object. Around them, the lot lizards, her royal subjects, already on patrol, sashaying between 18-wheelers and platform boots and body glitter, doling out companionship and, when requested, various non-prescription stimulants to long-haul truckers with loneliness in their hearts and cash in their wallets. "Evening shift's cranking," Lizzo said to no one in particular, sipping a neon blue cocktail from a mason jar. "Business is brisk. The Johns are desperate, and I haven't had to stab anyone since breakfast. All signs point to prosperity." Then Big Tawny, 6 foot of peroxide blonde hair, dominatrix heel, and a voice like a chainsaw swallowing gravel, strolled up, wiping her hands on her fishnets. "Lizzo, sugar, we got a disturbance on the west lot. Not the usual, I lost my wallet, can I pay with beef jerky kind of vibe. These kids on tricycle, big wheels, I think they're called. Weird kids." Lizzo arched her brow that had been plucked into submission and glided her feet, motioning for Earl to be awakened from the nap. "Warrior." The kids in question were blocking a fuel pump on a bright red big wheel with golden tassels and flame decals. One of them couldn't have been older than 12, except his eyes pitch black, no whites, no irises, just voids that seemed to suck the light from the parking lot lamps. The leader, he wore a leather vest called a cut in biker parlance, that read in jagged blood red thread, "The Hell Kids, 666ers." On his back were 6 more kids, each with their own tricked out tricycle big wheel, one with spikes on the wheels, another with handlebars shaped like demon horns, one whose entire ride was bedazzled in tiny skulls. "We demand a toll," the front child bellowed, his voice an unnatural growl that didn't match his cherubish face. "The road is ours, the truck stop is ours, all flesh is ours." Earl stood up slowly, cracking his spine like a thunderclap. "Kid, you parents know you're out here dressed like a satanic Boy Scout?" "We ain't got no parents," they chorused. "We are ethereal. We are churning gears of chaos. We are the Hell Kids." With a click-clack, they all popped their kickstands and began to circle the lot lizard encampment like piranhas on training wheels. Lizzo sighed and pulled a glitter-covered baseball bat from behind her Airstream. I was hoping to avoid violence before dessert, but clearly the universe demands a spectacle. And the battle began when the smallest hell kid, riding his big wheel with flames spitting exhaust pipes, tried to run down Tawny's silhouette or stiletto. She stepped aside with the grace of a seasoned stripper avoiding bail money, then grabbed the tire iron and bashed the trike into a pretzel. The kid flew 10 feet into a dumpster, crackling as he melted into a puddle of black sludge and reformed 5 seconds later. Okay, Lizzo said, adjusting her rhinestone-studded cat-eyed glasses. So they're immortal, cute. But so is my eyeliner. She signaled for the lot lizards. They responded like a well-oiled, bedazzled militia. Big Tawny, dual-wielding hairspray and a blowtorch, creating a flamethrower that sent two hell kids shrieking into a fryer vat behind the diner. Miss Penny, a tiny one with a pixie cut and a PhD in abnormal psychology. She quit academia after realizing capitalism was the real horror show, deployed a sonic lullaby, her patent I will survive at 45 RPMs, through a megaphone that caused three more kids to burst into spontaneous tears and pedal themselves into a ditch. Earl, meanwhile, had found his rhythm. He ripped a stop sign from its post and began swinging it like Excalibur. One of the hell kids tried to ram him, only to be launched into the sky like a carnival prize, eventually landing in the cab of a Peterbilt, where he possessed a CB radio and began screaming static-laced nursery rhymes. Lizzo, ever the strategist, spotted the ringleader, a pale girl, no taller than a yardstick, her big wheel adorned with an upside-down cross and a license plate reading 666, squish. She was chanting in what sounded like a version of the wheels on the bus, a hellish version of the wheels on the bus. But every time she pedaled, the asphalt cracked beneath her. You, Lizzo said, advancing with her bat raised, have horrible taste in music. We will devour your flesh and turn your truck stop to ash, the girl screeched. All adults must die. Honey, Lizzo sneered, I am the apocalypse. I survived Yelp reviews, crypto scams, and menopause. The musical. We're just a Tuesday. She swung, the bat connecting with the trike, sending it flying into a sack of salt bags. The girl tumbled out shrieking, and Lizzo pounced, straddling her like a WWE diva with a grudge. Listen, you little demon spawn, Lizzo said, brandishing her tube of glittery lip gloss. You want to wage war on the kings and queens of the night shift? You want to terrorize the workers who keep this nation moving? One pity romp at a time? Then you better bring more than tricycles and attitude. She smeared the lip gloss across the girl's forehead. This, Lizzo said, is glitter of divine judgment, patent cruelty-free and also moisturizing. The girl screamed, not in pain, but in horror, as the glitter began to burn. Her black eyes flickered, the darkness receding like a black tattoo in the sun. The other hell kids wailed in unison, their big wheels sputtering, their cuts bursting into flames that smelled suspiciously like burnt gummy worms. Retreat! The girl squealed, pedaling backward on nothing. Retreat to the shadow realm. We are bested by lip shine. With that, they vanished in a puff of sulfur and the faint sound of Nickelodeon theme song in reverse. Silence fell over the Crossroads truck stop. Earl emerged from the wreckage holding a melted CB radio. Did we just win against the evil kindergartners? Yep, Lizzo said, dusting herself off and stepping over a still smoldering big wheel. And I expect hazard pay in form of free pie from the diner. She turned to her crew. Good fight, girls. Clean up the demon goo, and someone find me a new nail technician. I think I chipped a talon. As dawn broke over the scorched asphalt, the truck stop slowly returned to normal. The fry cook reopened the grill. The long hauled truckers stumbled back to their cabs, and Lizzo, queen of the lot lizards, returned to her Airstream, where she lit a lavender scented candle, poured a fresh cocktail, and posted the night's events on her OnlyFans under the title When Satanic Children Attack, a night in the life. Because in the world of truck stops, diesel, and divine feminine rage, some queens don't wear crowns. They wear bedazzled fanny packs and wield baseball bats dipped in glitter. Samara Osborne, how are you? What's up, Adam? How are you, buddy? Jager, my week's been well. Thank you for asking. Heather Lee, how are you? Thank you, Aramek. Thank you, Karen. I had to do. I think we only fought. Fuck you, Andy Davis. I think they've only fought in Black Eyed Kids once, so I figured what better to do than I was actually sitting there and I was like, you know what we should do? We should make Black Eyed Kids on big wheels and have them be like a biker group. Thank you, Janie. $33 in Idaho. Holy crap. It's what? 3 degrees. 3 degrees in Upstate. What's up, North Face? How are you? You can if you got like a BJ's down at where you are, you can get them there. I know like BJ's, that big kind of like, it's like Costco. Fletcher, how are you? Maybe Andy Davis. Maybe. Tattoo's healing good. Tattoo's all healed up. Looks good. It's been a week and a day. Chels, thank you so much. Looks good, I think. I like it. I would buy that, Simone says. Oh, shit. What's up, Brian Cook? How are you, buddy? Tigger's doing well. I hope he does. I know it really has. It really has. I am fortunate that it's blown up. Robert Sharp, how are you, buddy? That t-shirt would rock. Oh shit. We'll have to get Andy Davis's face. We'll use his avatar and put it like right there. And then have 2 middle fingers next to it. And just fuck you, Andy Davis, at the bottom of it. That would be fucking great. And then on the back have Andy on the back side have Andy going like this. Oh shit. I hope your kids aren't with you, Andy. I'm just fucking with your dad. Thank you, Heather Lee. That'd be a great t-shirt. Scott, what's up, Juno? How are you? You're outside. Is it warm where you are, Andy? Convicts, 8 convicts, dude. There was shit, what year was that? It wasn't in Louisiana, it was in Alabama. I think in the 90s there was a prison break. and there was some of the prison guards and a few law enforcement had run into a dogman. Juno, you just had a full hip replacement. God damn. You're in my prayers. I know that's a painful surgery. My cousin had that, and he's doing great now. It was like 20 years ago. He had it young because he had fucked his leg up from baseball and basketball. And but yeah, I hope you heal up well. Sherry Lawrence, how are you? Sherry Lawrence Lewis from Central England, United Kingdom. Nexus, what's up? 175 Hydro. No, it's Anubis. Anubis. So Dogman look like your atypical Dogman. They have hocked legs, a tail. They stand about 6 foot, 6.5, 7 feet. Long snout, pointed ears. A werewolf is more human-like, more like a cross between a Bigfoot and a Dogman, but more Bigfoot-like. The Beast of Seven Shoots. Straight legs, not hocked legs, straight legs. A smaller muzzle, almost like just very short muzzle. Same kind of ears as a Dogman. No tail. And a lot stronger, a lot taller. Is Neck here? I didn't see Neck. Candy Wolf, how are you? Is Shackle Neck in here? MJ Bates, how are you? You're not late. I don't know. Andy, I don't know. A reptilian or a werewolf? I would honestly have to say if it was a Draco, like the draconian reptilian, the real, like the strongest ones, I'd have to say one of those. That's my own opinion, though. Yeah, CERN. There's reports of CERN having portals opening and stuff like that underneath. What's up, ATW? I said hi to you earlier. I don't think you heard me, though. He's just lurking. I got to text him and say, hey, what's up? Oh, your brother says hi. Tell him I said hi, too. There's a lot going wrong with CERN. There's just a lot. Hercules, what's up, my friend? A lot is CERN is just a very it's proof to me. CERN is proof evidence that NWO is a real existing entity. The Luciferian agenda is real. There really is a Luciferian agenda. All the world's governments are just puppets. And, like all these little cryptid sightings, Bigfoot sightings, Dogman sightings are just like a small portion of what really is going on, and it's all connected. Like, shadow figures and all that other shit. It's terrifying. Yeah, they are right. They are right. Speaking of reptilians, here we go. Anyone ever encounter anything reptilian like in Western North Carolina? The caves are everywhere here in Appalachia. My husband had encountered one years ago and it interacted with him. My boyfriend, now husband, experienced something very strange, and I am reaching out to see if anyone else has experienced anything like this. This experience happened in northwestern North Carolina in 2012. He and his girlfriend at the time were sleeping in the bed. They were in the bedroom that had French doors that opened to the backyard, facing a large piece of property, 7 acres, with a stream that comes straight out of the mountain like an aquifer. He awoke randomly to see 2 red eyes pass by the window of the French doors somewhere near 7 to 8 feet off the ground. The door opened as a very intense vibration started, and he sat up to scream, but he could not hear himself yelling. He could see his cat at the edge of his bed hissing. His partner did not stir. The vibration caused him to fall back and pass back out. He awoke face down on the bed with his head turned towards the edge of the mattress. Oh, we know what that reptilian did to him, don't we? He was unable to move. Thank you, Arabic! The figure rose and was completely out of focus a few inches from his face, almost like it was camouflaged. He states its motion was so unnaturally fluid he could see his surroundings but not quite focus on the creature. He explains it as if the creature was out of focus in a photograph. He then unfocused his eyes and used his peripheral vision and was able to see the creature clearly. He states that it had brownish green colored scales and like a pot-marked face, bright red eyes that glowed. When he saw the creature and was able to really decipher what he was looking at, it opened a very large mouth and gave him a gigantic toothy smile. He said he had felt its energy, that it was amused at him for figuring out how to see it. The vibration began again as he watched the creature sink back out of view below the edge of the mattress before passing back out from the frequencies. He awoke several hours later, and his partner had no idea what had occurred. He said the entire time he felt no emotion, no fear, no anger, nothing. He says he knows something violent happened to him, and he thinks they wanted to take him but didn't. He had rows of red dots across his back and states it looked like he had laid on a bed of nails. His partner at the time saw the large markings as well. He assumes it was a type of humanoid creature coming from the underground and traveled or lived through the cave system here. We know there's got to be some sort of opening in the land where the aquifer exists and the water flows down the property. This is his father's property, about 10 acres. We live across the street, and I lock our doors just out of paranoia now. The correlation between missing people around cave systems is unsettling. I wonder if this has anything to do with it. Anyway, thank you very much. Years later, 2024, I laugh and cry at the fact that I now live in where this all occurred. Because 20 bucks is 20 bucks. Name this tune. Oh, a huntsman was fucking laying eggs. Oh man. Monkey Crap knows what was going on. He's been here before. He acts dumb every week. They're coming to take me away. Oh, fuck huntsmans. Huntsmans are huge spiders that eat people, Jane. No, they don't eat people, but they're fucking nasty, huge spiders. Nobody guessed the song. You got to guess the song. Tiffany Cooper, how are you? No, not Hoobastank. God dang it. All right, I'll do it one more time. Actually, no. Someone mentioned the band that they did a cover of. It's a very, very popular song from the 90s. Huge, huge song. No. FNM. I'll give you a hint. FNM is the initials of the band. They did another song, they did a bunch of covers. Whoa, Alex got it. Alexander got it. It was Epic by Faith No More, Hollow Days, but Alexander got it. Good job. Good job. Good fucking job. Good for you. Good for you. Five rings. Frieden's mirror. Oh shit. Oh, my fucking lips taste like asshole right now. That thing stinks so bad when the shofar, because it's a naturally it's fucking real horn. Ugh. Faith No More was before the era of grunge, well before the era of grunge. They were actually out in like the 80s. Their first cassette was Fine Dressed Men, was their first band name, Fine Dressed Men. No, they were not. The 80s cock rock. From that album, yeah, that's probably my favorite. Zombie Eaters and Surprise You're Dead from their first album with Mike Patton. Their first album with Chuck Mosley or Mosley was probably We Care a Lot, As the Worm Turns. They definitely they blew Guns N' Roses and Metallica away. Underwater Love is a great song too. Yeah, Living Color. Yeah. What's up, Johnny? How are you? But you know, their 80s stuff was great. Look up SDL. If you look up We Care a Lot album, is the best album, one of their best albums with Chuck. There's two. There's like a demo album, and then the We Care a Lot album is great. Oh, the Divinyls. When I think about you, I touch myself. We gotta play that. That's harder than it sounds. Make a CD. That's funny. Please leave if you don't like it. 999. Here, I'm just gonna help you, Monkey. I am so sick of you every week. Boop. You knew Mike Patton? That's awesome. That is fucking awesome. We do talk about cryptids. For the last hour, I've been sharing experiences, and then we have fun during it. But you know, you can go somewhere else if you don't like it, because I mean, it's if it's not your style here, you know, you don't really like. I didn't invite you to, you know, be a little douche nozzle about things, so you can bounce too. I'll give you a chance. Wants to hear more of the Jew horn. Randall Wayne, how are you? Since I was about 14, 1974, I had a little blonde girl follow me around. The first time I saw her, sorry guys, the first time I saw her, she ran past my back door of the house. I thought it was my neighbor, so I went and find her. And I did see her, so I went next door to ask if my neighbor was outside playing. And her mom said, no, she's upstairs taking a nap. Several years went by, and I saw her again after I moved to California, 1988. I was in a paint store, small parking lot, and she ran behind my car. Knowing it was the same image that I had seen before, I immediately got out to look, and there was no one else around. I didn't have my kids then, and I thought that after I had my daughters, I would never see her again, as if my daughters being around would scare it off. Fast forward to 2020. I saw her in my house going up the stairs, rounding the corner to the second level of the house. I haven't seen her since. I see my dad in my house as well, often, Before my last daughter was born, he stayed in her future room while out and visiting us. I have seen him walk into her room many times, just catching a glimpse of him. I see him for a split second, sometimes just his face and sometimes his whole body. But I know it's him. He moves fast, which he didn't do in real life after swinging a hammer for 40 years and the toll of building custom houses takes on you. I always just say, "Hey, Dad," and feel great after the sighting. Not a reoccurring experience, but I still want to share. The day my grandmother died in New Jersey, I saw her plain as day for several seconds at the top of my stairs in my house in California. She was 89 when she passed, but was about 65 in age the time I saw her. I could see her hair done up in pin curls, brown polyester dress with accents of gold and a green zigzag stripe across it. I was so happy to be looking at her. It was also the day of my baby shower for my last child. 15 minutes later, I got a call she had passed and told my mom, her daughter, that I just saw her on my stairs. I can still picture her standing there. Shut up your face. What's up, buddy? What's up, Zach Teams? How are you, buddy? Steph pops in the live stream every once in a while. He's still around. I'd like to get him back. Thank you, Smitty. It does remind you of an alien. It does. It's almost Alien Workshop like. It's the hiking company Kotapaki out of like Utah, and that what was that online mental health thing that was big during the COVID pandemic? They teamed up and did something, but yeah, it does. Dude, Mr. Port, I remember when I first heard, of course, everyone knew Faith No More. And my cousin was a radio jockey. So I had been introduced to Faith No More with Chuck, the singer, the lead singer, the first singer before that. But then I remember when Epic came out and I was like, whoa, this fucking band is great with Mike Patton. And Metal Edge magazine had a Mr. Bungle kind of like ad in it. And it said, send a SAS, SASE, self-addressed stamp envelope and $5, and we'll send you your Mr. Bungle cassette. And I'll remember I doing that, and I got a letter back from them with a sticker and my $5 back saying, unfortunately, all the cassettes were gone, but here's some stickers. And I was so happy. Tina, how are you? Leslie, I hope your headache goes away, my friend. What's up, Richard? 9 degrees in the man cave. Damn, turn the heat on in the man cave, bro. Project coordinator. No, I have not, but I will now. See, that's, Victor had a lot of information on hunts, and that's what people didn't realize. Like, when we had him on and he was doing the Q&As, people would ask him like questions that he couldn't answer. Like he didn't know the science part of everything. He only knew what he was hired to do, was to hunt these creatures. It was awesome having him with us, but it was in that same sense, people really thought that he knew everything about these creatures when he'd be the first one to say, I don't know everything about these things. I just know what I've learned through the years. And then I remember one time I asked him, I said, do you think we could ever, like, do you think you could ever have like one of those people that were in the science part, like come on the show or at least share some of the stuff that you guys wanted to know, like the scientific property. And one thing that bothered me, and I shared this with somebody that I interviewed a couple weeks ago. So I think Victor legitimately came here with one mission in mind, and that was to do a soft disclosure like he did. And he picked my channel because it was small. Like it was really small. Here's the thing. And it made a lot of sense when this person told me this, because I thought about it after and I hadn't thought about it this way. But the government always needs to have like, oh, it's in the fine print. A soft disclosure is that small print. My channel was not supposed to blow up. Like I was never supposed to hit 100,000 subscribers. And I don't know how I did. It's still a fucking miracle to me to this day. And I'd never tried to do it. Like I just wanted to have my channel and share experiences and talk about things that interested me. But I think like in the end of it all, Victor came to share what he was told to share. Then a friendship was formed. He shared too much because not only did he have a friendship with me, but he really fell in love with the channel. Like he fell in love with the people in the channel, like you guys. He looked forward to doing the Q&As. But in the long run, it was more or less, so if anything ever came out, like with UFOs, the government can literally say, well, we did talk about it in the 60s, and put their hands up. It's out there. It's out there. We talked about it. There's proof, Aramek. There is proof. It's kind of hard to deny an email from the CIA.gov. But no one was interested in my feet. Like I grilled Victor for the first 2 weeks he was on my channel. I didn't even have him. I didn't even talk about him for the first week when we were talking because I was too afraid to even, and then when he started sharing stuff, he like, okay, so I was like, people are going to fucking think I'm crazy. I'm like, and I said that to him. I'm like, how do you expect me to tell people this? People are not going to take this seriously. And then it just got to the point where when Luke said to me one night, I'll never forget this. This is crazy. This is what made me believe in Victor 100%, even before I got the emails. Luke had shared his experience. Luke from Taylor, Mississippi. He had talked about his grandfather, and that was the first heart like breaking story I've ever shared, was that story. And Victor had said, "Hey, I was there that day." Um Something came out and I was pissed. I was like, "Wait a second. I like Luke, and this guy just said he was there at the death of Luke's granddad, this, and that." It really chapped my ass. Then 2 or 3 days later, Luke was like, "Hey, can you have that guy Victor? Like, there are these dogmen that are traveling through the backyard. Da 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 da." I texted Victor. I called him. I talked to him and said, "Hey, Luke at Taylor, Mississippi, you know who I'm talking about?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "There's some shit going on at his house. He needs help." And the next night, Luke texts me and says, "There's guys in my backyard with long guns and green lasers." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I text Victor, "Hey, are you responsible for what's going on at Luke's?" And he didn't respond. And then an hour later, he goes, "We're just packing up, leaving now." And then I text Luke and I said, "Hey, did the people leave?" Like an hour later after that. And Luke said, "Yeah, they just left about a half an hour ago." And then from that point on, I was like, this is too real for me. And then I got the emails from the CIA.gov telling me to stop talking about Victor, stop talking to Victor, which I posted in the community post. So, and you can't, and if you copy paste the email address and put it in Google search, it brings you to the CIA website. So it wasn't like I believed him right off. It was, and that's like, I was honest with him. I was like, "How do you expect me to believe this?" You know, like I had 8,000 subscribers, and that's all I ever thought I was going to get. I was happy with that. Like, I never ever started the channel to become anything other than just do what we do. Like, it was never like a goal to get 100,000 subscribers. People start YouTube channels and they're like, "I'm going to get 100,000 subscribers and I'm going to buy a Lambo," or fucking dumb shit like that. And I'm like, I just want to do this. And, 8,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, that's a lot to me. Like, holy shit, that's more people than I ever knew in my entire life. That's more people in my town. So, I don't know. So I saw something not quite human, although I wasn't alone. My high school friend saw it as well. We were driving to my house along a long, dark road. High beams were on. As we turned onto the road and rolling along, I saw something crouched in the center of the road. I thought it was a very large kangaroo. I'm an Aussie. I said to my friend, "Hey, look, it's a kanga," and then froze. As we ground to a halt, engine softly purring, about 10 to 15 feet away from it, my friend looked up and I watched the color drain from her face, just like mine had already done. My hands were firmly on the steering wheel. She kept repeating, "What is that? What is that?" The creature was hunched over on all fours, naked, pale skinned, bald, thin ribs were visible. It was at least 6 to 7 foot. A large mouth with really strange, unsettling teeth, like an ape's teeth, sharp and the faintest bit human. It just stared at us, perfectly framed. Its eyes were black and sunken into its head. The nose was just two holes. It was quite possibly the most terrifying thing I had ever seen. After a couple of minutes, I said, "Well, What do you do? I inched the car to a roll forward. I figured I'd rather keep it in our sights than turn around with our backs to it. So we rolled forward and the creature walked on all fours to the side of the road, letting us by, but its face was fixed firmly on the car. Not just on the car, but on us inside of it. It just kind of let us go slightly around it. We get to the side on, and it started moving quickly into the brush to the side of the road. The closest it came to us was about 5 feet. We raced home screaming, frantic. We burst in the door and told my parents what we had seen, and they did not believe us. They thought we were stoned, but we hadn't had a single puff of a joint nor a drop of beer. They said it must have been a kangaroo that got clipped. It was not. I remember it was clear as day. Today I watched a show about mysteries on Netflix, and it all came flashing back. I still have that friend on Snapchat, but we grew apart and haven't seen each other in about 8 years. But I messaged her about what we saw. I was hoping she'd say, no, that must have been a dream, but she didn't. The word for word recounting everything I saw when she mentioned it was crouched in the middle of the road. I got a faint feeling of pins and needles and almost vomited. They'll probably pop in, SD. They'll pop in. 59th usually pops in if he's not here right away. Oh, it's -2 out right now. Fuck. Is Brian Mons still here? Brian Mons, you still here, feller? $36 in Florida? Damn. I'm ready for spring too. Yeah, it must be cold up in Messina tonight. Sharon, how are you? Happy birthday, Sharon Wright. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I hope your power gets turned on soon. Yeah, he passed away. He died. But it was not that great either. He's the reason why Kirk Stokes got out of cryptozoology. He was really like, if you didn't agree with what he said and what his views were, then you shouldn't be part of the cryptid kind of thing. You need my email? All right. This is where I really wish 59th was here. Hang on one second. It's going to be pecking and typing. Jeff. It's right under Jane. The Brenton Staten guy, Brenton, whatever. He passed away before my experience. Yeah, he okay, so I I knew Kirk just from like when I started the channel. I had heard of him, right? And I didn't know what happened. And I guess him were good friends back in the day. And I don't like drama, so I'm not like knocking the guy. He's deceased, you know. It's I'm just saying like what happened. Um, and it's sad that he passed away because he it was a long tragic account. I remember like the very end he was still posting videos. I think it was cancer, which is fucking torture. But Kirk and him were good friends. They actually investigated and researched together. But Kirk started to have different theories. He was like, no, I don't think, like there's just so many at that time in cryptozoology in like the early 2000s. It was like straight, if your theory didn't match the mainstream theory of cryptids, like not mainstream, but the mainstream theory, that you were wrong, you know. Dogman was flesh and blood, and they were, like Bigfoot, flesh and blood, descendants of this and that. But if you had a different theory, like if you said they might have come from portals back then, you got ribbed hard. People were like, no, fuck you, da da da. And they push you out of the community. And that's what happened to Kirk. And Kirk, besides Scott Carpenter's video, Kirk Stokes has probably one of the best video captured ever. And I'm glad he allows me to share it on this channel because like I said, besides Scott Carpenter's video that he captured when he had the camera in the backside, Kirk's was amazing. Um, and it just to have a researcher like that just say, I quit. I don't want to be part of anything anymore. And to give up on research completely was just like, wait, what? Oh, the wolf howling, man. You're in my prayers. You are in my prayers. Tina. It's a weird shirt, right? Randall, I'm sorry for your loss. I don't think the government got to Scott Carpenter. I think he had an aneurysm. Like he wasn't pushing the limits really. He had shared that video years prior. Like I really think that he had an aneurysm. He had did a show the day before, and aneurysms unfortunately happen like that. Um, like he was not pushing the edge of everything, So like Claudia Ackley, I would say the government got her because she was suing the state of California constantly. Like she never fucking stopped. She was always suing them. And from the time she started, she became very sick. Um, Unfortunately people die and it's sad. Claudia was one of my best friends, Karen. I have not Claudia was beautiful. I miss Claudia to this day. I still have her phone number in my phone. Like I'll never forget the first time I talked to her. I wouldn't say that. Shut up your face. Like DNA, it's, like I proved the DNA that I had. I showed the paperwork and everything else, so it's like, eh, the video was amazing, but 59, there he is. How are you? I told you he'd pop in. Oh, lung cancer. Jesus, that's terrible. Cancer is a bad fucking thing. Our government should really, with the amount of money that our government spends on bullshit shit, like they could solve cancer. I don't think the government wants to solve cancer. Like, it, who cares? I'm going to sound really mean, but like, I don't care about other countries. I care about my fellow citizens in America. I think every other country should help themselves. But when it comes to health, like the World Health Organization, it should be like a mandate that every country puts 10% of their whatever expenditures to that, to solve these fucking crazy diseases that haunt mankind. That's why it's called the World Health Organization. It shouldn't just like every country. And if the countries are too poor to contribute, then they should get a pass. But that doesn't mean they get cut off either. You know, like, but the money's there. Why not fucking do something with it instead of like buying stupid shit? Like, it's fucking retarded. Just put, Brian, when you email me, put your number in it. Put your number in the email, please. I wouldn't doubt they have a clue. I wouldn't doubt they have a cure. I wouldn't doubt it. Like, the medicine that keeps me alive. Like, I was diagnosed with a terminal illness. When I started my channel, I was fucking 130 pounds, sick to death. I had spent time in Syracuse Upstate Hospital. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Finally, they did. There's a beautiful doctor, young doctor who figured it out. And my medication is, I take 5 pills a day that keep me alive. 2 of those pills are $4,000 a piece, or not a piece, a script, a month script, $4,000. So it's like somewhere around $9,000 to $10,000 a month for my medication. And you know damn well that those pills don't cost that much. Like, $10 max, 10, like $300 to make one bottle of pills for a month, but 4,000 at that point, it's just disgusting. It's gross negligence on our government's fucking end to let these people get away with that. People die because people can't afford medication. It's gross. It's just gross. Anyway, Brian Mons, if you're still here, this one's for you. This encounter is a more recent one. Happened a few years ago. I live in Canada. The city where I live is a small city, but with a bit of driving, I can be in an isolated forest within an hour. I love being in the bush, as we call it. I feel a special connection to the trees and wildlife and try to be out there as often as I can. At the beginning of the pandemic, like many others, I temporarily lost my job. This was a great opportunity for me to live my passion, explore, and enjoy the forest that surrounds me. Late one spring night, I think it was March of 2020, I decided to drive north and just get out of there and enjoy the crisp, early spring air. I packed a few things and in a few minutes, I was on my way. I was going, I often do this. I just drive until I feel I am where I need to be, and then I stop. I'd been driving for about an hour and decided that I'd gone far enough. I pulled into a parking area of a hiking trail next to the highway. It was a beautiful night with the stars blazing gloriously in the clear spring sky. I sat there quietly, lights and engine off, just enjoying the solitude. As I sat with my window open, looking and listening to the night, a lone snowflake quickly drifted from the front of my truck toward the rear, just under the driver's side mirror. I thought that was odd because there were no lights on my vehicle, and the night was moonless, the darkness very thick, and yet I could see that snowflake. It was as if it was self illuminating somehow. I reasoned that it was somehow aglow by an unseen source of light. Very quickly, however, there were more of these dull, gray snowflakes quickly followed the same path as the first, and all were easily visible. I followed them with my eyes from the front to the back, and around the back and the other side, and then around to the front again. They were circling my truck. I found this very unnerving, and my mind was racing, trying to reason what could be happening. Followed the little gray flakes around my vehicle again and watched as they passed by my driver's side window, again, just under the mirror. By now, there were maybe 20 to 30 of them, all illuminated in that same dull gray hue. They raced by, one and two at a time, until one of them took a steep dive under the mirror, then popped up right in front of my face, just inches from my rolled down window. Except now, it was not a harmless looking little snowflake I thought it was. It had taken shape, an almost human like shape, only the silhouette. The form had the head of what appeared to be a radiating line surrounding with shoulders and arms. The arms did not end in hands. Instead, they ended in smoky wisps, as did the torso. There were no legs that I could see. The entire figure was colored with that same dull gray, self-illuminating color. It floated there for a second or two, seemingly looking at me as if I looked at it. I am not too macho to admit that I was freaked out. I fumbled with my keys and rolled the window up as quickly as I could go. And I got the hell out of there like a rabbit with a tail on fire. I had never heard of puckwudgies before that night, and after doing research, that is the closest thing I can attribute my sighting to. Chat does move fast. All right, can anyone tell me what time it could be? And the word puckwudgie is funny. But you Aussies have some funny words yourself there, Simone. Someone tell me, oh, Jess B got it. Jess B got it. Sean McCabe got it. It is Lizzo time, my friends. It is Lizzo time. Let's pick which one. This one's a little different. This one's a little bit different. Hammer time. Oh, shit. Let's see if we can play that. Let's see if we can do that before we... So, Nikola Tesla, this is for you in that. Nope. Hammer time's too hard to play on the shofar. Too hard. James Rink was definitely taken out. James Rink was definitely taken out. I don't know about Jeff, though. I think he wasn't he pretty old? The Neon Spoon Diner stood like a rusty throne at the crossroads of nowhere and not coming back. Beneath a flickering sign that buzzed like an angry hornet, 18-wheelers idled between the cracked asphalt bays, their chrome grills reflecting the greasy glow of midnight fryer lights. Inside, the air hung thick like burnt coffee, fried onion, and secrets. This was the kingdom of Lizzo. Not the singer, nope. Lizzo, Thunder Thighs Malone, self-proclaimed lot lizard queen, dominatrix, diplomat of lost souls, and reigning monarch of the midnight shift. Her court was modest but fierce. Brenda, with the lip tattoos and a knife collection. Marlo, the runaway ex-nun, who could deep fry a pork chop or a human heart with equal skill. Earl, her loyal, hulking boy toy of a trucker, covered in Confederate flag tattoos he didn't understand but wore like armor. Even the fry cook, a silent Cambodian veteran named Mr. Kim, nodded to her like a warlord paying tribute when he slid her a free meatloaf platter. Lizzo ruled with sass, stilettos, and a voice that could shatter glass and resurrect the dead cell phone. She turned the Neon Spoon into neutral ground, a sanctuary where truckers didn't cheat the girls, cooks didn't skimp on the gravy, and everyone knew the sacred rule: no blood on the Tuesdays. Until Billy Jack Jones rolled in. He came at 2:17 a.m. in a midnight blue Peterbilt, with no company decals, no plates that could be traced, and a CB handle that made even the old-timers cross themselves. Ghost wire. He was tall, yeah, but his real horror was his presence, a cold draft in the room already chilled by neglect. He wore chaps made of stitched-together roadkill and smelled faintly of formaldehyde and clove cigarettes. Worse, his right thumb. It wasn't just big, it was unnatural. Swollen, veiny, pulsing like a second heart. It looked like a baby's fist, like a cursed fetus maybe. And when he pointed it, the lights flickered. Lizzo didn't notice him at first. She was in the back office, her throne room, negotiating a deal with a meth-addled mechanic for a new set of heels. Jimmy Choo's. Or you could boot to spleen. Jimmy Choo's, or you'd get a boot to your spleen. Meanwhile, Billy Jack wandered in like a wolf in denim. First to go was Tanya, last seen giving him the midnight special behind the air brake station. All they found of her was her wig, a single platform shoe, and a smear of glitter that smelled like regret. Then a scream from the ladies' room. Marlowe burst out, pale as a freezer burn. He took Brenda, she hissed. Saw him dragging her into the storage closet, and his thumb, it was glowing. But Lizzo just waved a manicured hand. Girl, Brenda's always running off with some weirdo. That's her kink. She'll be back with a story and a hickey shaped like Utah. But then Mr. Kim found the third victim, Randy the dishwasher, or what was left of him, folded neatly inside the industrial laundry cart like a discarded towel, missing his ears, his left eye, and his fingernails. Taped to his forehead, a Polaroid of Billy Jack smiling, his thumb pressed against the lens like a grotesque eclipse. Lizzo stormed into the dining area, heels clicking like gunshots. All right, who's the clown with the mutant thumb? Silence. The truckers buried their faces in their pie. Earl scratched his belly, confused. It was Mr. Kim who finally whispered, He's magic, Lizzo. That thumb, it opens doors to other places, dark places. Lizzo snorted. Oh, please, I seen voodoo. I seen Satanists at a meth rally in Little Rock. This is just some weirdo with a fetish and necromancy podcast. But that night, alone in her trailer, her royal chambers painted pink and plastered with disco balls, Lizzo felt it. A pull, a dreamy, syrupy haze that poured through the vents. Billy Jack stood outside, barefoot in gravel, his thumb raised like a witch's wand. And with a slow, deliberate motion, he pointed it at her. The world melted into velvet. Lizzo slumped, eyes wide but unseeing, smiling, dreaming of endless highways and gold-plated hubcaps. Under the spell of the thumb of doom, she danced, a slow, eerie jig on her tiny deck, humming show tunes in a voice not of her own. While she danced, Billy Jack feasted. He dragged Earl behind the tire stacks, whispered secrets into the trucker's ears, and turned his pupils into static. He offered Marlowe a bite of the magic jerky. She took it, chewed once, and burst into blue flames, vanishing like a pop, like a firecracker. The neon spoon emptied, but Lizzo didn't notice. She was too busy giving flawless renditions of I Will Survive to a cardboard cutout of Dolly Parton. But by 4:47 a.m., the coffee machine exploded. A geyser of scalding brew erupted, drenching Lizzo, snapping her out of her trance. She blinked, gasped, and looked around. Her kingdom was in ruins. Trucks abandoned, booths overturned, the jukebox playing a warped version of Ring of Fire on loop. And on the counter, a note written in what looked like ketchup. Lizzo, your reign ends at sunrise. Your lot lizards are mine. Your trucker is broken. Your diner haunted. Signed, Billy Jack Jones. Thumb of the Void. Lizzo picked up the note, read it again, then laughed. Not a chuckle, not a giggle. A full, throaty, the devil just stepped on my toe cackle that rattled the salt shakers. Ah, hell no, she said, wiping coffee off her cleavage. You don't murder my girls, you don't curse my kitchen, and you certainly don't insult my interior design. She stormed into the kitchen, tore open the locked freezer, marked confidential, Lizzo's stuff, and pulled out her weapon. It wasn't a gun nor a knife. A vibro massager named Bertha, pink ribbed with a 10-speed setting and a sound like a warhammer. She also grabbed a can of holy water blessed by a drag queen exorcist in Vegas, a bottle of hairspray, and a deep-fried corn dog on a stick. Then she waited and waited. At 5:58 a.m., the lights died. Billy Jack emerged from the shitter, his thumb pulsating like a heart transplant gone wrong. You should have stayed asleep, queen of trash, he hissed. Now you'll feed the void. He lunged, thumb outstretched. Well, Lizzo, she dodged, barely. It sprayed him with the holy water. He shrieked as his arm smoked like a tire fire. Get back, demon, and lose that ugly thumb. Billy Jack roared, flicking his thumb. A black rift tore open into the air, vomiting shadows that slithered like snakes. Lizzo responded by blasting Bertha on max setting and jabbing it at his ribs. The magic short-circuited, the shadows screamed and retreated into his nostrils. Enraged, Billy Jack charged. Earl, half undead, eyes glowing green, stumbled in from the night. Lizzo! He's got the devil in his hitchhiker. Then sent it back with a return label. Then send it back with a return label, she yelled. She jammed the corn dog into Billy Jack's mouth to shut him up, then sprayed him with the hairspray and flicked the lighter. Whoosh! He burned, not with fire, but with embarrassment. His cursed thumb shriveled like a jalapeno in the microwave. No, he screamed. I am the chosen one. I speak to the ancient road gods. I am eternal. Yeah, well, I'll speak to Oprah's therapist, Lizzo snarled, and he says you need boundaries. She lifted Bertha high and, with a primal scream, thrust it deep into the crack of Billy Jack's overalls, directly into his rear end, right where his monstrous thumb had been hiding. Oh, my booty hole! You can't do that! Buzz. Billy Jack's scream turned into a yodel. His eyes rolled back, his knees buckled. That magical portal in the ceiling snapped shut like a disproving ant. He fell to his knees, trembling, tears in his eyes. You violated the sanctity of the Neither portal. Uh-huh, Lizzo said, pulling Bertha out with a now get out of my diner before I plug you into the deep fryer. Billy Jack scrambled backward, dragging his charred thumb behind him like a club. This isn't over, he croaked. Oh, honey, Lizzo said, adjusting her wig. It's breakfast time. As the first rays of the sun hit the neon spoon, the truckers returned. The girls limped back from whatever magic thumb couldn't reach. Mr. Kim, he fired up the griddle, and Lizzo stood at the counter, sipping some sweet tea, one foot propped up, wearing new heels and a smirk. Her kingdom was in scars, but it was hers, and if Billy Jack ever came back, well, she had Bertha on recharge, and Earl promised to deep fry his thumb for appetizers. Eco, yes, Steph. I've interviewed him like 4 times on the channel. He's in the live stream sometimes. Thank you, Hollow. Lizzo is always victorious, Tiffany. Bear Wolf, you're in my prayers, friend. If you fall asleep, I hope that you feel well. Nexus, have a good night, my friend. You might be, Nicola. You might be. Or you might need a butt tightening operation. I try. You like that, Robin? Take your time there, Wolf. Take your time. You got more important things to worry about, brother. I'll be here. I'll be here. Damn, I'm getting chilly. Brr. Fucking nipples are getting hard. Getting hard. That was a good one, wasn't it? I had fun writing that one. It's hard for me to explain things through text, so please bear with me, y'all. So I guess I'll start this experience. Larry Sharp, welcome, and thank you for being a member. It's hard for me to explain things through text, so please bear with me, y'all. So I guess I'll start this experience almost 10 years ago when I was 6 or 7. I stayed and still do with my grandparents. They lived in a 2-bedroom single trailer with an added on room. Keep this in mind for later. So one day I was asleep. My little sister was in the bed and my mom had stayed that night. So she slept in the same bed also. All of a sudden, my eyes popped open and my heart started beating fast. I thought I had just woken up from a nightmare. Soon as I sat up, I saw this short shadow thing, and the hall light was on, so I saw the thing turn into my room. Its head looked like a sideways lemon, like kind of like a stewie, and it was moving its head side to side as it glided across the floor to me. I hid under the covers and called my mom. Didn't see it again till I was in my cousin's house. We were in her attic, and all of my younger cousins could see the same shadowy thing except for the adults. It was slamming the door open and closed, and once it saw me, it started going faster. After that, I didn't see it again. Flash forward 2021. In December of 2020, there was an incident that caused me to be depressed, and I was home all the time by myself. I was like 15 at the time. So I was in the kitchen about to fix myself something to eat till I got this dark feeling telling me to get out of the house and now. I looked down the hall and it got really dark, so I ran outside, prayed, and felt way better. Ever since then, I felt like someone has been watching me every time in my grandparents' house. Now, I'm going to get into my recent sighting. At around the fall of 2021, I was in the added on part of my grandparents' trailer and looked outside and seen this orange red looking person. They had no knees, calves, and no head. It looked like a corpse to me. It was just walking, so I opened the door thinking that it could have been my grandfather, and nobody was there. 2022, my grandparents got a new trailer, put in the same spot. Then again, I'm mostly in my grandparents' then again, I am there by myself every day. Ever since we started staying there, I get this feeling of dread. It's mostly in my grandparents' room, so I avoid going in there at all times. Me and my mom and little sister have been seeing this lady with a long white dress out of the corner of our eyes. And when it's not the entity in the shadows. Okay, so today I was in the kitchen and the trailer we have now is flipped. So where the kitchen is now is where the added room was. I looked out and saw this orange looking thing again, but I saw its whole body this time, and it looked as if it was gliding. It spooked me, usually. I'd think, oh, it's a bird, but this time I started shaking and almost cried. It took 30 minutes to calm down and get back up and went into the kitchen again. And I saw another one, but this one was all black with white eyes, standing in the same exact way the other one was gliding. The house is, by the way, an old abandoned home, and one of my closest neighbors passed, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I am still too parents' house alone. I told my grandparents, and she just told me to pray. What do you guys think I should do? Definitely pray you got a demon in your house. Craigers! Holy shit! Craigers, thank you so much! Monkey, Nature's Hidden Mix, MS, Kentucky Blue, Blue-Eyed Girl. I love when people I can see who doesn't comment. Wiley, there he is. Wiley, what's up, buddy? Craigers, thank you so much, buddy. Craigers on those ribs. Ugh. My grandma Ida had a sighting. Old Ida Stallion. Maybe she had spiritual sight or was clairvoyant or intuitive empath. We aren't really sure. To preface, my grandmother was 14 when she and her 5 younger siblings became orphans. I'm not sure if that maybe led to her, I hesitate to say, abilities. I wanted to be a skeptic, but I finally believe. Compiled below are a few experiences. Not sure if it has anything to do with each other. One night, my grandmother was sitting up in bed reading. The only light is overhead. She looked up to see someone in the doorway, thinking it was one of the 5 kids. Those Catholics waste no time. She said, "Get back in bed." They did not move. She goes back to reading, thinking maybe the kids were just half asleep and didn't find their way back. 60s parenting was to just ignore all the kids. She looked up again and saw 2 figures this time. She got frustrated that now 2 of the kids were out of their rooms, walking toward the doorway. But she realizes there is a taller figure with broad shoulders and a shorter one. She could make out that one was a man and the other a woman. She walked towards them and they disappeared. She told me she was not scared, but felt almost comforted. She went into the hall to be sure that it wasn't the kids. Nothing. She lied in bed long enough to realize it was her parents that were in the doorway. She didn't recognize them since she hadn't seen them in almost 20 years. She had Alzheimer's, and we didn't know she was living with bone cancer. It came quick. Not all of the family made it to the hospital before she passed. While in the hospital, she had conversations with her sister who had passed before. The day she passed, my uncle was still stuck at work. He said his computer just turned off. He was frustrated because it was the last hour of work, but instead of the computer saying shutting down, as Windows did, back then the message said goodbye, and then the screen remained black. It took him a few times with the power button to get it back on. It didn't register at first, just thought it was some new update. He got a call 30 minutes later from family that his mother had passed. We all believe it was my grandmother saying goodbye to her only child that couldn't make it to the hospital in time. My grandmother once woke up in the middle of the night in a panic. She had this insane feeling that something bad was about to happen to her sister, whom she hadn't seen in about a year. My grandmother, living in VA at the time, called her sister in upstate New York to tell her she needs to go to the doctor as soon as possible. My grandma wouldn't get off the phone until her sister agreed to go and get a physical exam. The next day, my great aunt was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. The doctor told my great aunt that they rarely caught breast cancer that early. This was the 80s. She remained in remission the rest of her life. Anyway, that's my experiences that my grandmother has had. Thank you for allowing me to share this. Charlie, how are you? No, the book isn't out. The book's never gonna come out probably. I mean, I'm gonna have to put it out as a fictional story. So I'm not gonna talk about it because I want it to come out. You know what I mean? It's I just don't want. I think that's what killed the book off in the first place. Because if you still type his name in Amazon, Victor Johnson, it literally says Victor Johnson Dogman book, Victor Johnson cryptid book. So I think by him talking about it led to the stopping of it, and then I talked about it because I have it finished, and the publisher won't put it out. So I might put it out. You know what I could do is I could put it out online and just put it out so you guys can print it yourselves and have a copy of it. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Wesley September, you ever use spray paint? It's already written, Jarrett. It's already written. Airbrushing. Yeah, there wolf, definitely. I might just put it like I don't know. I don't know where. I don't foresee the government going into Patreon. So I might just put it in there. I don't know. All right. Wesley, try spray paint. If you go to bombingscience.com, and it's a graffiti store. You can buy like all colors of paint. I have probably 200 cans of spray paint downstairs in my art room, and all different colors. Get Bang is the name of the company I get. We are hot lately. Same with Texas. Nothing. I had one in Oklahoma tonight, but because I like graffiti, Wesley. I'm from New York, so to me, and they sell different caps. They sell different spray nozzles too. Go check it out though. I can do inside work too. Like I have a sheetrock that I spray on. Graffiti is art. Yeah, it's art. Yeah, both my daughters are. I'm very artistic. You wouldn't know it because I haven't done anything in a long time. But PG, how are you? But yeah, both my girls paint and draw and sketch and stuff, and but I love graffiti. I have books on graffiti downstairs, like old 70s, like just pictures of old 70s graffiti and stuff like that. This happened one night in October of 1999. That night, I was coming home from a train station with my sister. As we are walking, we noticed that all the cars on the road had stopped. People were looking up at the sky. So, flying up high as a black UFO, it looked like a building. It looked layered and what looked like multicolored windows. The thing hovered in the air for a while, and we eventually kept going until we couldn't see it anymore. The thing was massive as well. After it went away, me and my sister went inside and never talked about it again. I never thought about this again until September of 2017. Myself and my girlfriend had gone to Bridgeport, Connecticut for the weekend. We went into a jewelry store and started looking around. I saw a necklace that had an alien head on it, and I thought it looked cool, but then I put it back. The owner told me that I was the second person that day interested in that same necklace. She then started to tell us about the couple that came in the morning. They started chatting about how they had mentioned to the owner that back in the fall of 99, they had seen a UFO fly over the neighborhood of Green Lawn, New York, the same neighborhood my sister and I lived in. They saw the same exact thing. When the shop owner told me that, I remembered that night with my sister, like the memory of it flooded back into my brain. The owner looked surprised because two couples came in the same day with the same experience all those years ago. A while later, I told my sister about the shop and the conversation, and she too remembers that night. I also thought it was weird that we all would forget something like that. Ever since then, I think about it a lot. I tried Googling it, but haven't seen anything online about it. Anyway, I figured I'd finally write about this and let you guys hear it. Thanks. Brr. Damn. Thank you, Charlie. I honestly, like I said a while ago, I never thought my goal was not to get 100,000 subscribers. My goal was just to share experiences and get to meet new people and do what I do. Like I never anticipated on getting, if you Google this, like I never, this is how rare it is for people to get it. And they, like, people don't think it is, but how many YouTube channels have 100,000 subscribers and more worldwide?
As of August 2025, there are about 618,955 YouTube channels globally with 100,000 or more subscribers. This number, which often corresponds to the silver play button, has increased from around 300,000 to over 500,000 in the past few years.
So out of the out of the 67 million channels worldwide, where is that? Out of 67 million channels worldwide, only 600,000 have the play button of 100,000 and more. And that puts you at like 9.9%, which is, I never thought possible. You know, to me, it's still so weird. I guess I did beat it. All right. So, for some context, my little brother has always claimed to have seen a weird black figure on the walls, or looking at him through windows, or even running across our yard since he was 4. All of these sightings started happening back when we used to live in an old house from like the 50s up in Ohio. Under this house was 2 old abandoned wells, which, from what I heard, wells are supposedly portals or gateways to the other side. But my little brother always loved to go and hide and play in this blocked off room where one of the old wells were. Ever since we had lived at that house, he'd been talking about, and I quote, a spiky, fully black figure with a big white glowing eyes with elongated fingers and no mouth. And we haven't lived in that house for like 7 to 8 years. But the reason I'm bringing this stuff up after so long of a time is because we haven't lived at the same family. We haven't lived at some family over and had shared a room tonight, but me and him aren't very close. So we started talking about our life. He starts telling me about this thing, the spiky black figure that was looking at him in class one day, and he was the only one to see it. I'm interested, so I ask him more about it. He starts telling me that it's been around for so long as he can remember. So I start thinking he could have some sort of schizophrenia, but he's never showed any signs ever in his life. So I push more. He tells me when it runs, it gets short and stubby. But when it's standing still, it's tall and spikier. And he's always told us that he's seen black figures on the walls, or short, stubby black figures, or tall black figures staring at him since we lived at the house with the wells under it. This figure has also never spoken or reacted to my brother waving at him or looking back at him for any reaction. My brother also said that it's never done anything except watch him. And with the way my brother explained it, he sees this figure very regularly and has for around the last 9 to 10 years. But my brother also stated he's never tried to talk to the figure. He'd always just let it be and watch him. But more so, he wants info, something about this mysterious black spiky figure with glowing eyes. Is it some sort of spirit guiding or watching his throughout life? Did he get bound by a spirit playing in the old well house in Ohio? Is it a demon wanting him to harm him or others? Or is it all just purely in my head? All right. Ugh. Last Lizzo story of the night. Thank you, SDL. Ugh. Here we go. Under the flickering neon glow of Big Rig Betty's truck stop, a greasy beacon on desolate stretch of I-95 somewhere between Virginia and Delaware, Lizzo ruled with a rhinestones and sass. Not that Lizzo. Nope. The universe hasn't blessed 2 powerhouse singers with the same name. This Lizzo was 5 foot nothing of sequins, stilettos, and a voice so loud it could shatter glass and resurrect dead butterflies. She was queen of the lot lizards, matriarch of midnight hustles, and undisputed sovereign of diesel fumes and deep fried everything. Her court was a sprawling, grease-stained kingdom, cooks slinging hash browns like they owed them money, waitresses in polyester uniforms juggling coffee refills, and trucker flirts and her loyal subjects, the lot lizards, all of dollars company for a 50, keeping the long haul keeping the lonesome long hauled keeping the lonesome long haulers company for a 50 and a pack of Newports. And then there was Earl, 6'3", built like a bulldog wearing a denim jacket, and softer than a marshmallow in a microwave. When Lizzo looked at him, her boy toy currently, however, he was indisposed, trapped in the ladies' restroom because the men's room was under renovation. Someone had set the urinal on fire trying to cook meth. Earl was on the shitter, reading an old issue of Trucker's Digest, wondering if the article titled Why Cats Are Government Drones was satire. Outside, the sky did something weird. It wasn't just dark. Wasn't storm dark or midnight dark. It was darker than black, like someone had sucked the light out of the universe with a cosmic shop vac and boom, a UFO the size of Walmart landed right in the semi parking lot. But not just any UFO. This one was pulsating hot pink, shaped like a disco ball, had a baby with a space taco, and thumping with beats that sounded like Daft Punk fighting a T-Rex in a synth dungeon. The space rave had just crash landed at Big Rig Betty's. The air crackled with bass lines. Then the hatch hissed open. Out stepped Ronald, a 9-foot tall, shimmering with iridescent pink skin, 6 arms, and wearing what could only be described as a glow-in-the-dark tuxedo made of liquid light. He wore sunglasses, indoor nighttime, on another planet, and his antennae swayed to the beats. Behind him, 10 more aliens, each wilder than the last. One had flippers for feet and shot glitter from its ears. Another floated, draped in lavender velvet, playing the guitar made of moon rock. Ronald raised 3 hands and boomed. Voice echoed like a subwoofer in a cathedral. We are the groove mongers of Zorblot, and we have crossed 7 dimensions to challenge the locals to a dance-off. Silence. Then, from the back of the diner, a woman shouted, Better get another karaoke night. Lizzo stepped forward, hips swaying like she invented rhythm. Honey, you landed in the wrong truck stop if you think you can outdance me. Ronald sneered, adjusting his space bow tie. You are but a primitive Earth primate. We have danced in zero gravity with the nebula nymphs. We've moonwalked on black holes. Lizzo cackled. Baby, I've danced my ex-husband into a coma. Bring it. The dance-off commenced. It started simple. Ronald spun on his head like a top, his lower arms spinning in opposite directions, while 2 backup aliens played a beatbox duet using their nostrils. Lizzo responded by doing the Dougie, the Running Man, and a backflip in heels, all while lip syncing Juice at the top of her lungs. Then the Grove Mongers brought in the Leviathan move, floating 2 feet off the ground while doing the worm in synchronization. Lizzo grabbed Earl, who had just stumbled onto the shitter, wiping his hands on his jeans, and said, Do the thing, sugar. Earl nodded, took a deep breath, and belched, a long, resonant, perfectly pitched B-flat that shook the ketchup bottles on the tables. Lizzo used that vibration to launch into the floating spin she had just been practicing with nitrous canisters and prayer. The crowd went wild. Ronald's lower jaw dropped. He had 3. The Grove Mongers gasped in alien terror. Impossible, Ronald shrieked. No earth creature can defeat the sacred sway of Zorblot. And then chaos. Ronald clapped all 6 hands, and the groove moggers pulled out dance weapons. One spun a lasso made of pure sound waves. Another twirled a ribbon that emitted sonic shrieks. The third simply stomped, causing localized earthquakes. They attacked. The dance floor crackled open. The truck exploded, not from fire, but from the extensive funk. A waitress was lifted into the air by a rogue bass drop and deposited gently on the roof, where she damn it, my eyes. Where she grabbed Lizzo, where Lizzo grabbed the nearest thing she could find, a giant serving tray of fried pickles, and flung it like Captain America's shield. It hit the groove-monger square in the face. He exploded into great glitter. Earl, Lizzo yelled, we need synergy. Earl, suddenly inspired, ripped off his trucker hat and began beatboxing, a low, rumbling diesel engine rhythm that shook the pavement. Lizzo fed off it, channeling the vibrations through her platinum platform heels. She stomped on the ground in rhythm, creating shock waves that knocked 2 aliens into the dumpster full of stale onion rings. Ronald, enraged, attempted the infinite spin. The more powerful, it could unravel space-time. But Lizzo had one last trick. She pulled out her phone, searched music that makes aliens cry, and hit play. WAP by Cardi B blasted from her cracked iPhone speaker. The groove mongers froze. Their antennae twitched. Their eyes watered. One tell of his knees, muttering in Zorblatin, so much power, so much woman. Ronald clenched his chest. It's too real, too fierce. He looked at Lizzo with something between awe and terror. You have the spirit of 1,000 Earth divas. Lizzo smirked. Honey, I am a diva. With a final shudder, Ronald signaled to his troops. They regrouped, floated back into the glowing pink, and with the final wobble 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 bass, rocketed in the sky, leaving behind only a faint smell of bubblegum and existential dread. The truck stop was again a mess. Windows shattered. The grill was on fire again. Earl was covered in what was hopefully alien glitter or cosmic mucus. But Lizzo stood tall, one stiletto on the dumpster of a burning Peterbilt, arms raised. Survivors, truckers, waitresses, lot lizards cheered. Lizzo turned to Earl, wiped the sweat from her brow with a fryer rag, and said, Baby, get me a Dr. Pepper. And maybe a hazmat team. Earl nodded, kissed her cheek, and muttered, Best date ever. That night, Big Red Betty served extra crispy strips free of charge in honor of the queen who danced down an intergalactic threat. And somewhere in the distant galaxy, a species known as the Groove Mongers banned all things. Lizzo, alien defeater, business card, underneath the glittery pen, always for birthdays, bar mitzvahs, and interdimensional dance battles. All right. 2.5 hours. I got to call it a night. Whew. My eyes, I probably read like 60 freaking encounters tonight. My eyes are burning. All right, guys. Thank you for another awesome Saturday night. I appreciate it. Everyone stay well. I might either Monday or Tuesday take my snowshoes, throw them in my back of my car, and head up to where Tom Mezek disappeared. Like I said, I've never been up there in the winter, And with all the snow we've gotten, I kind of want to go up there and just see what it's like in the middle of winter and maybe catch something. Who knows? So anyway, with that, guys, thank you for hanging out with me. I love you guys all, and I have such a blast every Saturday. I couldn't ask for better friends, you know? Like, you guys are my friends. You're not just like subscribers. You guys are my friends. Every Saturday we hang out. So it's kind of weird. Like, I feel like I know Wiley, Hercules, Jane, you know, Sonia, all you guys. So I love you and have a blessed night. Have a great day tomorrow and have a wonderful week. And I can't wait to see you in February. Good night, guys.